Hi, Sri Sokomoto with Caliber Real Estate Group here. Today is May 12th, here with the market report. Everybody wants to know what's happening with the housing market. How is all of this affecting it? Um, the first stat we're going to start off with is the showing report. So showings were high before all of this started to happen, and before we stopped being able to do open houses and all of that. It dropped tremendously through the beginning of April, and in the last 4 weeks, we've seen a steady increase in buyer activity. Um, and this is nationwide numbers, but even for us personally in Orange County and on our personal showings, we've had more activity. So we see buyers coming back to the marketplace in part because interest rates are still really, really low. Um, the percentage of people who value homeownership is pretty high as well. As you can see, 2015-16 we were at an all-time low, and that number has been climbing steadily ever since, in part because rents are still so high, especially in Orange County. Parts of Depending on your price point, you can pay less in a mortgage and of course your down payment than what some people are paying in rent for similar properties. So with the low interest rates, high rent, and the value of home ownership, all of that is helping to bring buyers back to the marketplace. Of course, we're still doing showings virtually. We're doing virtual open houses. If people are viewing homes in person, they're doing them practicing social distancing, wearing masks, gloves, booties. We're taking the proper precautions if we are doing showings in person. So this is definitely good news that the buyer activity is back out there. This is also an updated graph. I think previously I shared a graph that the 2019 numbers showed that about 50% of homeowners had at least 50% equity. Well, this number is now jumped up according to the 2020 numbers. There's 42% of people who have no mortgage at all. So they own their home free and clear. Another 16% have at least 60% equity. So that number has bumped up. So we're looking at about 58% of people have at least 60%, where last year we were at about 50% of people had at least 50% equity. So this is going I think the number one question we get is, are we going to see is the market going to crash, and are we going to see a bunch of REOs, short sales, and whatnot? This graph right here tells you that that's not going to happen. Nobody's going to walk away from 60% equity if they do have to sell. If they're in a job where it's not coming back right away and they can't make their mortgage payment, they're going to sell, but they're going to sell for a profit. There's not going to be a huge wave of short sales and foreclosures that are going to hit the market because of these numbers right here. So back now talking about unemployment rates, these numbers just came out earlier this week, where now we're at 3.2 million people filing for unemployment on a weekly basis. It's not a great number, obviously, but it's a lot better than the March 28th number of 6.9 people, or 6.9 million people filing for unemployment. And then here is the breakdown of where the people who are unemployed, what type of work they're in. So as you can see, 37.6% of the unemployed people are in the food service industry, and they're expecting those people to go back to work as soon as the restrictions are lifted. A lot of the small businesses, restaurants, are even starting to do their own delivery. So they're hiring their waiters back and starting to do delivery that way instead of putting it out to some of those services, Uber Eats, whatnot. So slowly we're starting to see people come back. Restaurants are trying to open back up. So even though the unemployment numbers are really high, they're expecting people to come back to work sooner than later. So this is Goldman Sachs projections, where we see that huge drop where unemployment numbers are super high and we're coming back pretty quickly within a year, right? As opposed to the 2009 era where it took 9 years to get our unemployment numbers back to where they were prior to, and the Great Depression, it took 12 years. Well, Goldman Sachs is projecting it'll take us 2 years. JP Morgan is saying it'll take 1 year. So even though it's pretty bad right now, the unemployment projections are that we're going to recover pretty quickly here. If you have more specific questions, please feel free to reach out. Inventory is still super low in the Orange County marketplace. That combined with the low interest rates is showing that, or projections are that we're not going to have a dip in prices. So if you have any questions about your value, or you're just curious on how we are conducting showings and selling property in a safe manner, please feel free to reach out. If we can help with anything, we're here. Just let us know. Thanks so much.